I'm going to be playing a little bit of Amber Emerald Aggro today. I've included a deck tech for anyone who wants it, but I've also included timestamps on this video so that if you want to just take a quick glance at the deck list and then skip to the gameplay, you're free to do so. I just want to give a quick deck tech for my Amber Emerald Aggro deck. So I've put the Dreamborn.ink link to the deck on screen, and I'll have it in the comments or in the info section below as well. But I'm just going to start with the 1-drops and go through the curve that way. I think for the most part this list is pretty obvious. 4 Lilos makes sense in any aggressive deck with Simba, just a no-brainer. 4 Stitches, I think it's pretty important. I've chosen to play Big Stitch in this list, as well as 2 Lanterns, and obviously that's sort of one of the most potent combos you can be playing in the current Lorcana metagame. So 4 Small Stitches makes sense. 4 Dukes, I've seen people play less 1-drops. I think if you're going to play Lantern, you really want to be heavy on 1-drops, and the reason for that is because it allows you to play 1-drop on turn 1 into Lantern 1-drop on turn 2. So I've opted for a full 12 1-drops in this deck. Duke, I mean, there's nothing special about him. He's often inked, but he's just there to enable the Lantern and Big Stitch shenanigans. For Simba, obvious no-brainer, probably one of the most powerful Amber cards for aggressive decks. Really his only weakness is Rafiki, sometimes Maximus, but Rafiki I feel like is the one thing that Simba cowers in fear of. 4 Flynn Rider, I think another obvious choice. 4 Mickey, I've chosen to play just the most aggressive 3-drops in the 2 lore questing characters, Mickey and Cheshire Cat, again both at 4 copies. 3 Hades, Hades is one of the more interesting options I've chosen here. I think he could easily be removed, but the nice thing about him is that he gives you some things, just a little bit of versatility, which is something this deck is really lacking. So I think the major impetus for putting him in the deck to begin with is that I wanted to play 3 Genies. I'd been playing 2 Genies. Genie is really powerful, but if you curve out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, sometimes maybe a double 1 or a Lantern on 2 into another 1-drop, it can be hard to get to 6 ink, and a play that ends up coming up is just Hades get an inkable and then ink it to continue your curve. So I think that's sort of the floor for how good Genie is, and that is really useful and adds some consistency to this deck. And obviously then the upside is, of course, getting back something like a Cusco or a Genie in matchups where those characters are really powerful is also very strong. I think against something like Amber or Ruby Amethyst control, and they only have 4 Be Prepareds in the deck, sometimes 3, but most of the time 4. And just having access to 7 Cuscos so that you can limp across the finish line with a quest for 3 is really nice. Yeah, so that's Hades. I think it may not be the best choice. It's just what I've put there. We're also very heavy on 4-drops, which means that you'll often be inking your 4-drops. It's just something to be aware of while you play the game if you're using this list. Rapunzel. Rapunzel is an interesting card in that it doesn't draw that many cards in this deck. It's here just because the power level is so high. Early on, inking Rapunzel is not a problem. It's unlikely you're going to be drawing 3 with Rapunzel in this deck. It happens, but it doesn't happen a lot. So something you want to keep an eye on is that Rapunzel pairs perhaps best with the 3-drop Mickey Mouse. Just, you know, attacking into a Simba, anything with 2 power, and then drawing 2 is about the best Rapunzel gets. Otherwise, a big upside for Rapunzel is that she's just a 1/5 that quests for 2, and in this deck that's actually pretty good. So even just playing like a Rapunzel draw 1 is very powerful because the 1/5 quest for 2 body is actually quite relevant. And so that you kind of just have to accept that that's what Rapunzel is in this deck. And if it's going to be a draw 0 and your other 4-drops are better, then you can absolutely ink it. But the upside is just so high. I mean, the games where you actually draw 2 or 3 with Rapunzel are so easy to win that you can't justify not playing it, even if its average or median value is maybe not optimal, because you can just ink it anyway. Hans, I think, is just the best raw questing 4-drop in the game, and Tinkerbell having evasive is nice. Unfortunately, the Ruby Amethyst control decks do have a lot of their own evasives, so they can take it out, but against other decks, I think Amber or Sapphire, the fact that it has evasive makes it basically unkillable outside of their removal. That's obviously pretty good for you. Cusco, no-brainer. I think pretty much every green aggro deck is playing for Cusco. It's amazing after a sweeper, basically guarantees a quest for 3. Whatever takes it out also, you know, perishes. It's just a fantastic card all around. Mad Hatter, definitely the worst 5-drop, but you just need some late game, and you'll often ink Mad Hatter totally fine. Stitch. So Big Stitch is here primarily to shift onto Small Stitch. It can be hard to get to 6. You already have the genies. You don't necessarily want to clog your hand up with 6-drops. So if you do not have a Small Stitch, you should probably be aggressively inking the Stitch Rockstar. The reason it's here is because when you do ink, or when you do shift onto the Small Stitch, it is a crazy powerful play, especially on turn 2, or excuse me, on turn 3 with Lantern. If you go, you know, Lilo, Lantern, Stitch, Shift Stitch on turn 3, it's basically the most powerful 1, 2, 3 play, I think, available in Lorcana. So that's why it's here. It has a pile of cards, I think 20 cards that it can draw with in this deck, and if it's bad, you just ink it. But it quests for 3 if you ever get up to 6. I mean, in a long game, it'll happen. You get up to 6, you play a Genie, you top deck a Stitch in the late game. It's good there, but it is primarily there for the shift. Genie, I think, also kind of a pretty typical card here. It's just a very, very powerful 6-drop. Very aggressive, huge tempo play. If you're anywhere near winning the game and you play a Genie on turn 5 or 6, it's very difficult to lose oftentimes. Basically requires them to play Sweeper like Be Prepared. I do want to point out that in this exact list, there's an interesting play that has come up a few times for me in testing, which is Genie bouncing my own Hades. It is maybe a bit counterintuitive, but Hades doesn't actually quest that aggressively, so having it on the board isn't all that useful. And playing Genie and then bouncing your own Hades, it gives you some reach versus grab your sword. I mean, if you've built a huge board position and you're going to win anyway, bouncing your Hades gives you insurance against grab your sword, even multiple grab your swords, which is amazing. It also allows you to get back Genie later. It allows you to get Cusco back. It's not going to come up that often, but if you play 10, 20 matches with this deck, it's something you should be aware of, because it may happen and has happened to me. And Lantern, Lantern's an interesting card. I think it pairs really well with a large number of 1-drops, like I've mentioned earlier. It is obviously a very, very powerful card in combination with both of the other Stitches. But with that said, it's a little slow for this aggro deck. You really don't want to play Lantern on 2 and then do nothing. That is not a good play. And drawing 2 of them is pretty bad. The second one is usually awful, which is why I've opted to only play 2. I know you could lean into the Stitch combo if you wanted to. Many people have done that with different lists. It's not... the power level is high, but the risk is also high, and I'm just trying to mitigate that to some extent. I mean, we're keeping the ability to have the nut draw here, but mitigating the disaster scenario of drawing 3 lanterns, or 2 lanterns, which is, I mean, is nearly as bad. It's not good. Yeah, I've played lists with 1 lantern. I've played with 4 lanterns. I really don't know what the correct number is. It's just, I don't know. It might be dealer's choice. But thank you. I'm going to play some games with this list. Hey there, I've been having a lot of success with Amber Emerald Aggro on Pixelborn lately, so I thought, why not record a couple matches and share them with people on YouTube. As far as this mulligan, I'm really looking for a 2-drop, so I'm actually going to get rid of everything in hopes of finding one. Lantern isn't exactly what I wanted, but it'll work out okay with 2 1-drops and Big Stitch here. Okay, I'm going to ink. First Big Stitch, play Lilo. Fair warning, I have about a decade and a half of competitive Magic experience, so I'm going to say the wrong terms over and over again in this video, and for that I apologize. Okay, Simba. I think, so we're gonna play Stitch next turn. Big Stitch. So I think I want to keep my low drops. We're gonna go Lantern, Stitch, pass. One thing I like about this deck, I'm playing the Amber Emerald Aggro list, which is obviously a known entity in the metagame, but I think it fares really well against the Amber Sapphire decks, which have gone way up in popularity lately. Okay. Alright. I'm going to ink Tinkerbell. Shift onto my Stitch. And quest just with Stitch for now. Pretty soon, I mean, I could have considered questing with Lilo. The issue is that she's going to get swept up by Grab Your Sword here pretty soon. If not, then on turn 6 by Big Tinkerbell. Jafar. Okay. Interesting. So Jafar is going to be able to take out Stitch, which is unfortunate. I might end up using it to attack Aggro or Ariel just for value. But let's start by drawing cards. Alright. Okay, that's not really where I want to be. I'm going to ink Mad Hatter. Do I allow Jafar to just eat my Stitch? I feel like it's a tough spot here. If I quest with both, I go up to 8. But they're going to wipe most of my board. They obviously don't have Grab Your Sword because they're not steel, and I'm insane. I think that, God, I can keep one thing, so I guess I'm going to keep a Duke if I attack with, if I quest with both. That's not very good. I'm going to pass. I don't really love where I'm at right now, but I can play Cusco, Hades next turn, Genie if I draw an Inkable, and I feel like once I get the Genie, I'll maybe have some more options that are favorable for me. The longer I keep Stitch around, it's probably good, and they don't have an obvious way to deal with it. They're drawing a lot of cards, though. I wonder if they're playing, like... I was thinking they might be playing a Facilier list, but they have not played the sorts of cards I would actually expect for that, so probably not. Elsa. Okay, that's kind of annoying. I'm really hoping to draw an inkable here. Genie inking Jafar might be what I need. Okay. Flynn Rider down. Okay. I think I am going to make that, well, so indecisive. The thing is that Simba is so strong. So I could play Hades returning something like Flynn Rider. Or the Duke and ink that, then play Simba, which would draw me a card. I'm going to get greedy. It maybe is a bad line, but... Second lantern, not good. I only play 2 lanterns. The reason is because the second one is usually very bad. Stinkin' Jafar. I'm going to pass. They can take out my Simba. That's fine. I have Genie or Cusco next turn. I can poke something down too with this Hades. It's not that important. I don't know if Jafar's power was bugged on my turn. I swear to God it said 5, even though it should have been 3. Oh, they are playing a Facilier list. I don't even know how I didn't notice this. I guess that's what they discarded to my Flynn. Interesting. I have to be aware of that then. Because they could do it next turn, which would be horrible. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Yep. Wow. Was not expecting this. Mm-hmm. Okay. So I kind of want to be able to attack into this Jafar with my Hades. So what I'm going to do is actually bounce Simba, attack Jafar. And now I have a choice to make here. If they have a Facilier in hand, next turn might be really, really bad for me. So the question is, do I do something insane, like trade my Lilo for their Rafiki? I don't think so. They can only return one thing with Facilier this turn anyway. I'll just let them do it, as much as they don't want to. This is a tough game. Makes me wonder if I could have done some things differently. feel like they must not have Facilier because they would have just slammed it, right? Or am I crazy? No, Elsa. Yeah. I see. So they want to race. Okay, well I can start questing with Lilo now. If they want to take a turn off questing with Elsa to stop Lilo, that's probably fine. So I guess the plan at this point is probably Lantern, Cusco. Yeah, it still looks good to me. I'm gonna wait one more turn. That might force them to choose between finishing off Cusco or attacking Lilo. But we do have to get questing here. Don't have a lot of choice. The opponent is really taking their time for someone with 2 cards. Okay, Simba, fine. All right. Yeah, I think it's time to just race. The question is, do I play Mickey this turn? I'm at +10 right now. They're going to be able to attack Cusco Lilo, making me +5. Yeah. I'm just going to play the Stitch. Keep my cards. I think they're forced to start trading here, so. I maybe made a mistake. They have the option of using Simba to attack Lilo, questing up to 12. I guess that only leaves them at +5. Okay, so that wouldn't be lethal. I'm good. This should be fine. I think they have to attack Cusco. If they don't, I just don't see what their out is. Need to get the Jeopardy theme music playing here. I don't know. Do we have a rage quitter? What is going on here? Okay. A play has been made. Let us start. Genie Quest 4-2. Well, we're definitely going to quest with Cusco's. I think there's no way they could have a sweeper in their deck. I think just throwing away Stitch. Not that it matters too much. I think literally any play I make wins here, but sure. Show me what you got. You have to deal with literally all 4 of these things. Second Elsa does not do it because of Ward. right, well, I think we got this one. I maybe could have played differently in a couple spots, but we're just warming up, so that's all right. And as I said, it does not do it. All right, we won that one. And on to the next one. I'm hoping to maybe run into Amber Sapphire and demonstrate. I feel like the uptick in prevalence of the Amber Sapphire deck on Pixelborn is why I decided to try this aggro deck again. I just think it's such a good matchup. And I had been playing a lot of Amber Steel, which unfortunately does not fare very well against the Amber Sapphire deck. This hand is awful. I could look for a small Stitch and keep Lantern Stitch, but gee, I really need a 2-drop and a 1-drop. I'm going to try it. I think this is a questionable decision. There's actually a good chance that you should maybe only keep the Cheshire Cat and then ditch the rest, just hoping for a generic 1 and 2-drop. This is going to pay off. So I guess that's good for me. So I'm going to start with the Duke because it matters less. I want to keep my Stitch around, and then next turn I'll play Lantern Stitch. It's nice to have another 1-drop ready to go. Okay, yes. All right, this is what I was hoping for, so let's see if I can pull it off. One thing that they do have is Maximus on 3, which is really, really strong against us. Eating a Duke, not that concerning to me, but it's just something to be aware of as a really strong play that that deck does have on turn 3. It's really the only thing I'm terribly afraid of them having. Okay, totally fine with that trade. All right, so we ink Hans. Shift Stitch. And Quest. If they play, they do have the option of playing Let It Go on my Stitch, but I get 2 ink out of the deal, which is not horrible. I'm not happy about it, but it's fine. And they do have it, but it will be a turn late. I'm going to get to draw at least 1 card off this Stitch. Possibly 2. I could always... I have... Well... Yeah, I mean, if I get lucky. Okay, so they're inking a Let It Go. Does that mean they have another one? Or does that mean they just... Okay. I do have a choice to make because I don't have an inkable. So if I play this Stitch and I don't draw an inkable, I can't play Hades. So what I actually think I should do is be smart, play my Hades, get the Duke, and ink the Duke to make sure that I get an inkable. Okay. And I'm just going to quest. Again, if they want to play Let It Go, it's their prerogative. Not questing doesn't help me against that. If they don't do it, I've got a Flynn Rider. The draws can continue. Cusco is nice. One of the most annoying things they can do against you is play Hades and take out a big threat. I mean, playing a Mad Hatter into Hades feels terrible. Cusco, less so. Okay. Let's just get things going. We're currently at +7. Threatening another Cusco next turn. Maleficent, annoying. Maleficent is a really big body, but I think we just have the tempo at this point that it's going to be hard for them to come back. This gives them the option of Maleficent hit Cusco, Mickey trade for Cusco. But if they do that, then they can't attack other things. I'm guessing Ariel's going to come into Hades here. It did not, which is probably a bad play. I don't think they have the luxury of just sitting there. Again, this is a deck that has no sweepers, so you can just do this. You can just play everything. And now, you know, you're asking them the question, like, what are you going to do? And the answer is probably not much. All right, fantastic. And there we go. We're 2-0 on the draw both games. Yeah, I really think that the shift towards a lot of Amber Sapphire and Amber Steel decks, not Amber Steel, which is still a terrible matchup, the Steel Sapphire deck, I actually think this deck does pretty well against the Steel Sapphire deck. Their A Whole New World does a lot of work for you, which is a problem for them. And I think as more people shift away from Amber Steel, which was by far the most popular deck, I would say a week ago or 2 weeks ago in Pixelborn, it's definitely seen a severe downtick in favor of these other mid-rangey and control decks. As far as the matchup versus the actual Ruby Amethyst control, I think it's kind of even. It really depends on who's on the play. The Rafikis are really important, but a lot of lists aren't playing that many Rafikis, so I would say it's a pretty even matchup there. The only thing you really, really don't want to run into is Amber Steel. It's a winnable matchup, but it's just not good. All right, on the draw again, because can't win a die roll ever. This hand is also terrible. I'm definitely not keeping Lantern this time. Really, Lantern is only here for the Stitch combo. It's fine. I mean, it helps cast Genie, which is nice, but I just don't need these 4s. I desperately need 1s and 2s, so I have to ship stuff. All right, found a 1 and a 2, which is great. I'll have to be careful. We do have 2 uninkables. I think for me that means inking a Simba here. I think I can take a moment to just talk about why I have Hades in this list. I think it's maybe a little bit of an unusual choice. And the reason is simple. I think Genie is really, really strong. And if you play all of your cards out every turn, it can actually be difficult to hit Genie ink on time. And I think Hades literally, a lot of his value is his ability to just go get an inkable to ink and then play Genie later on. Okay. We're going to be in trouble versus Rafiki, and the fact that they even played this on 2 suggests to me that they have it. With that said, I just don't know that I can play around it. And them trading Archimedes into Stitch is fine, so if they eat Simba with a Rafiki, I think I'm just going to have to live with it. And the upside is that playing Simba here is really, really good. If they don't have Rafiki, I'm going to ink a Hatter for now. Considered inking Flynn. Might have been better. Not clear. Okay, they do not have Rafiki, so the Simba is doing work now, which is great. Love that for me. I think I'm just gonna keep going. Maybe they have Zeus, but again, especially on the draw, this is a matchup where you just kind of have to quest every turn and hope for the best. As sad as that can be sometimes, it really is your best option. If you can force them to play a Be Prepared and have a Cusco left over, that's kind of the situation you're trying to set up. At this point, if you could hold a Hades for after a Cusco is taken out, that's also really nice. We're in a good spot here. They're just not threatening us at all, which is bizarre. Yeah, just quest with everything. They're going to start clearing stuff out, but I think I'm going to choose to try a go wide strategy here. It's possible playing the Hans is better. I just want to see how this works out. They're so far from Be Prepared that this puts on the maximum amount of pressure. It might make my Cusco better later. I'm expecting a Maui. Yep, okay, so they have the Maui, which means I'm going to be losing some stuff here. That's all right. Yeah, that's all right. Okay. I think it's a little bit awkward, but I'm just going to keep the pressure on. They have to lose 2 cards out of their hand to take out these Flynns. I mean, they're going to lose no characters, which is not good for me, but the hope is that we're going to try to limp across the finish line. You know, ink up to 14. Interesting. I don't know why they would do that. They had the answers on board. I guess they just don't want to discard, which is fine. Okay, so if I had a Lilo playing Hades here, getting Lilo would be really nice. I don't have that option. I can play Hades Stitch, or I could just play Flynn, and then next turn play Hades, get Cusco. Tricky. I think I'm just going to play Hades Stitch. Be efficient. It allows me to possibly play 2 things next turn with my Flynn, depending on what I draw. Threatening to go up to 16. Again, we're just trying to limp across the finish line, which often happens in this matchup. It can be tricky. They have Maleficents, they have Elsas, they have Ursulas, all things that can prevent you from ever questing when you play a character, but this is just the way the matchup plays out. You try to race the 20. Unfortunately, we were on the draw, so advantage them. Interesting. I am surprised a little bit that they went the path they did, but that's all right. I mean, so Stitch doesn't trade with anything. Does that matter? The thing is, they could be prepared next turn. They could. If they have Aladdin, they can't haste it. I don't think this Rapunzel's ever getting any value. I think I'm just going to raw play the Rapunzel and quest with Stitch. It's fine. Forces the Rafiki to attack in. Probably the Maleficent trades with my Hades. Totally fine. Ow, that's kind of brutal. Okay. Let the limping commence. Erasing this Pongo. Yeah, alright. Obviously not in bodyguard mode. If they have another Dragonfire, that's going to be really bad. If they have Aladdin, that's really bad. Another Pongo, so they're a +5. Interesting. I mean, I don't have a choice. We are just questing and praying they have no way to beat this. I mean, we're in a good spot here. Yeah, I mean, that does not help them. I think that should be the game. All right, there you go. 3-0 on the draw, all 3 games, 3 different matchups, 2 tier 1 matchups, and 1, I don't know, maybe a good matchup. I'm not as familiar with it. Yeah, thanks for watching.